Live from a little pub round the corner while I was drinking bottles of water, screaming him on.
Did you really want him to win then?
Of course. We're talking mega fight between me and him.
It's quite amazing at the moment that there's four of you, all young heavyweights, all undefeated. Parker, Joshua, Deontay Wilder and yourself, all undefeated. So there's got to be a meeting of all of those people, hasn't there?
There would have to be, or it would be called a travesty. These guys have to meet each other and somebody's always got to go. We should do an elimination contest. 2 fight 2 and then the winners fight winners for who's the number one.
When you were watching it, did it create extra motivation for you to come back?
Not really, no. I've been motivated for a while to come back. Let's face it, I've been overweight for a while. I needed to get back in the ring and just prove all these doubters wrong again. Not that it means anything to me proving them wrong, but it just gives me inspiration to get up, train, motivate myself for fights, really. At least I'll be training for something rather than training for nothing.
Remember when we met you in February last year, 14 months ago, and you said that might have been my Everest moment, you know, when you beat Klitschko. What was there to do afterwards? It was like there wasn't anyone out there. Joshua was, you know, a kid at the time in the heavyweight division. He's had 4 fights since and he's come on. The landscape looks a bit different now, doesn't it?
The landscape does look different. That was an Everest moment and it'll never be done again. But, you know, goalposts have to be moved. New challenges, new goals have to be set. And if the country wants me to fight a weightlifter, then that's what I'll fight. No problem. So it gives me motivation that a lot of people have picked him to beat me. But as I said many times, we're in a sport that's called sweet science, not a bodybuilding contest or a strongman competition. And when you can't box and move, slip and slide, ride shots, and one man can, it's an easy fight.
You said just now about it's not about proving the doubters wrong, but you do use that as motivation.
Yeah, I do use it as a little bit of motivation, but to be honest, it's for myself. What I'm doing isn't for anybody's opinion on whether I'm good, bad or indifferent. What I'm doing is for myself, to get my weight off and give myself a goal, set a target. There hasn't been a target I ever set in my life that I didn't achieve. So once I set my mind to it, I do it.
How difficult is it? You know, you presumably have to lose about, I don't know, 5 stone or so. How difficult is it to do that?
Yeah, it's what it is. I've done it 24 times before. So I'm always losing weight all the time. I train hard, I eat right, drink plenty of water, the weight flies off. Simple, really.
And do you need a nutritionist doing that with you, or have you got someone driving you for that?
What I don't know about losing weight isn't worth knowing.
Is that because you just have to physically, mentally, emotionally relax after a fight than after a camp?
No, it's because my team keep me very inactive and they leave it months and months and months with no fights. And I want to keep busy all the time. I want 4 or 5 fights a year. They can't deliver. So I find myself stagnant, bored and comfort eating. And I can't train when I've got nothing to train for. I'm not one of these average trainers who just go and start working out in the gym because they want to keep fit or whatever. I'm fit for purpose and my purpose is fighting.
I'll put 2 things to you. Because you're in limbo at the moment, because you're in abeyance at the moment without a licence and without a fight planned, that some people will consider Joshua to be the man now because you're in limbo. Does that annoy you at all? Does that bother you at all? Not
really. Even when Joshua wasn't a world champion, they'd still say he could beat me. It's what it is. I am the outlaw of this boxing game, and I love it. And when I get roped off so many times, I love it. Look at Ali. How many times did he get roped off? Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, but he beat them all. My boxing brain, second to none. I would say I'm the most talented, skill set heavyweight out there. And the only chance they've got of beating me is me not preparing and not being mentally right.
I always say a mentally and physically fit Tyson Fury beats any heavyweight in the world, you know? People look at big muscles, don't they? They look at Anthony and they say, oh, he's going to knock anyone out. What do you think about my theory that he showed he can't fight on the inside in that fight and he has a very leaky defence? I mean, it was on a knife edge, that fight, wasn't it?
It was a real pick and fight. There were many stages in the fight where it could have went either way. You know, a knockout in the 12th round, 11th round, fatigue, age, inactivity, ring rust, whatever you want to say. It was a great fight. But like you say, his inability to fight in close is inevitable for everybody to see. His leaky defence, he was getting caught with a jab right down the middle, uppercuts, right hands, left hooks, everything. Every punch that Klitschko threw, the 3 punches he's got, he was landing them 8 times out of 10. His ability to get up and recover, people saying, oh, that's great, showed heart. But he didn't throw a punch for another 3 rounds after he was hurt. He has no long-lasting stamina during a fight. He fights in bursts and he recovers. So it's like you throw load, I throw load, you throw load, I throw load. And whoever's the strongest and biggest and best puncher will win. But when you're fighting someone like me, imagine him when he's that tired, he has to come looking for me. I was flicking 3 and 4 jabs and right hand, left uppercut, slipping out of the way. And he's got to come hunt me down. And he's 8, 9 rounds down. And I'm as fit in the 7th as I'm in the 1st. It's not going to happen. So them guys have only got a puncher's chance. And if I'm stupid enough to put my chin out there, to let some big muscle-bound man hit me on the chin with a big swing, then I must be silly enough to get beat by them.
So you're already visualising that fight and how you win it and what you do in that contest?
I just give him a boxing lesson. And he gets so tired of chasing me around, trying to land big punches, missing all the time, countering, getting touch, bang, bang, bang. I'd stop him in the late half of the fight. Klitschko almost done him in round 6, he was gone. Round 5 he was fatigued. Round 6 he got plastered and had to crawl off the canvas. And it was what it was. He was getting outboxed, landing big shots on. Easy. But I ain't 41, I'm 28. I'll be 29 next year when the fight happens.
So you think it'll happen next year then?
Eddie Hearn's already booked a date in, the 18th of April, 18.
For Wembley Stadium, presumably?
Wembley Stadium. There isn't another fight that can do Wembley Stadium, apart from me and him.
Well, that's the first part. We're coming on to hear more from Tyson Fury. My thoughts on that. And,
please, because I know what I think, and having been with him.
What was amazing for me is that he was coherent.
Absolutely.
He was clear. It's amazing how unfinished business energises you.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
The landscape's changed.
You know, he said the goalposts there, didn't he?
Yeah,
We've got to move the goalposts.
Yeah,
yes, it was an Everest moment. And do you know why? Because although, nothing will ever be taken away from that night he had with Klitschko, there's somebody else now has beaten Klitschko too. And that other person is also from the same country and his rival. So there is because he comes from a family of fighters.
Yeah.
He will never rest until he's proved himself one way or the other.
Absolutely right. And I think, what we know, because we're older as well, with the wisdom of age, we know that landscapes change, that when he beat Vladimir Klitschko, there was no one else out there. And in the year and a half that he hasn't fought, these youngsters have risen. There are new challenges. This is a major challenge. What I really like, Sags, and you hit on it straight away, the crystal clarity that he has in his mind when he talks about a boxing match he's seen. He is spot on in what he saw in that fight. He has a very, very high boxing IQ, both when he fights and when he analyses fights. There was more than that than we heard there. He picked Joshua apart about 3 times over the hour that I sat with him and recorded a lot of this. He's crystal clear. People are asking on Twitter, by the way, surely that the Klitschko that turned up against Anthony Joshua would beat Tyson Fury. The point is no. Tyson Fury didn't let Klitschko be that man. He's taller, longer, rangier, awkward, and he took Klitschko's jab away.
And of course, what we mustn't look. I know, and later on you'll perhaps tell us more about what's going to happen. He's got to get his license back and everything else. We know all of that, and he's upset an awful lot of people as well. But he still there for me. We mustn't forget he hasn't been beaten since he became champion. No. Yes, he's had his belts taken away from him, but he talked and analysed there like a champion.
Oh, he really did. And, you know, as he said at the very beginning of that section, somebody's O has got to go. Now, it does hark back to the great era of the great heavyweights in the 70s in the way that Muhammad Ali had been out of service because he'd been banned because of refusing the Vietnam War draft. When he came back, both he and Joe Frazier were undefeated world champions. At the moment, Joe Parker, the WBO champion, Deontay Wilder, the WBC champion, and Anthony Joshua, who holds 2 of the belts, are all undefeated, as is Tyson Fury.
Gareth A. Davis alongside me. We'll hear more from his interview in Marbella with Tyson Fury next.